dig into the suspected killer's past, they will try to answer how a young man could be radicalized enough to plan and then commit such a profoundly devastating act. Let's bring in retired FBI Special Agent Robin Dreeke, pardon me. He is also the former chief of the FBI's Counterintelligence Behavior Analysis Program. This is just so difficult to understand, how you could come to hate somebody so much who apparently you've never met, that you're willing to take out a rifle and end their life. Can you shed any light on that for us, Robin?
Yeah, sure. Unfortunately, he fits a pattern, being the killer, a pattern of what we've seen emerging in the last bunch of shootings, last bunch of years, and that is an arc of violence and insecurities that is being fueled by this new form of online radicalization. You know, years ago when I thought of online radicalization, I thought of ISIS, but now it's these fringe groups that are feeling themselves victimized, that see themselves as victims and wound collectors, as we call them. And what's happening is Charlie Kirk represented everything he wasn't. This is as we saw by, what Paul Moore was describing, this lack of a really clear plan executed really poorly shows his really low thinking here, didn't have a great plan, and he really wasn't locked on to who he actually was, whether it's etchings that are all over the place, his plan was all over the place, his ideology was all over the place. Meanwhile, what Charlie Kirk was very clear on who he was, very clear on his belief systems, and most importantly, he could articulate it, he could argue it, and he embodied what everyone is missing on this thing right now. He was curious. He was curious about people that thought like him. He was curious, most importantly, about people that didn't think like him. And this individual that killed him was never curious, not once. And so that is really the fuel that fired him up to do this heinous thing.
Yeah, we read, and again, the details will come out if there ever is a trial here. But we read that he sat down with one of his relatives, and they both started saying, "Hey, I hate this guy, Charlie Kirk, and he's coming to campus, and I don't like what he says." But how do you go from disliking what somebody says to going through the motions that we all saw happen here? It astounds me.
It astounds people like us because we have rational problem-solving skills that this individual didn't. What always plays out in these situations, I think this is what's going to come out when eventually it does hit trial, if it does, and in the investigation, is there's always an arc of behavior that's constantly escalating, constantly being fueled by this inadequacy, this need to control, this need to constantly think and know in their own mind that they're right and correct. And so every time he encounters someone that challenges him, that makes him feel less than, it keeps fueling that fire. And along that arc, there is always, at least in past cases, a critical moment, a touchstone that sets them over the edge to move from really aggressive behavior, aggressive thoughts and language, right to violence. And so it's never a 0 to 100 to violence. There's an escalation. And so we're going to see that in here somewhere, I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure how long you were at the FBI doing sort of behavioral profiling, but have you seen this change? I mean, I just somehow can't imagine that, in the time of the greatest generation, for instance, in the 1940s, that young American males were thinking and acting this way, or were they?
Yeah, I was with the Bureau for 22 years before I retired, all doing behavioral analysis. And what hasn't changed over the course of the history of our species is this need and desire to communicate. And what has really fueled us for all time as a species, which has brought us great successes, is our curiosity. And when we are curious, we have this great ability to innovate. And our communication skills were always very strong for years and years. And then what happened is we have the internet, we have social media. And when social media hit, people started posting their 5-second highlight reels on life. And we get caught up in this cult of comparison, the disease of more. And we start comparing ourselves to people that are really just putting fictions out there, and they're not communicating. So that need for the interpersonal communication in a positive light is missing, and all that curiosity has fled away from so many people. So yeah, over the last 22 years and plus 8 since I retired, there's been a major shift, not from what we need and crave, but from the ability to actually communicate it.
Yeah, and I wasn't suggesting that you were at the FBI in the 40s. I just want to make that clear. I just find it so weird and so sad that we've reached this point. And I've seen so many lies, frankly, about Charlie Kirk on social media from people who apparently just believe everything they hear or read, even if it's not true. Very sad.
It is. And that's what was great about Charlie, was he always asked the question with that great curiosity.
Yeah, he did. Robin Dreek, it's good to have you on. Thank you.